Sometimes you need a vacation. And if you follow my social media exploits, then you would have known that I went to Disney World for the first time. I'm not going to bog you down with the details of my vacation, but I will tell you that I did bring my Steam Deck, and I did play my Steam Deck offline. As you might imagine, most of my time was not spent playing video games, but it's not to say I didn't play a decent amount of video games. I get started with Spider-Man Miles Morales offline, while my brother did all of the driving. Today, I have to ask the question, how was the offline experience? Has the offline experience improved since I last tested it? What sort of troubles did I have, if any troubles? And finally, is the Steam Deck a viable travel companion? Before we get started, I'd like to thank the sponsor of this video, Ugreen. Ugreen makes plenty of different products, but their most notable products are their USB chargers and USB cables. The one I have in front of you is this 45-watt gallium nitrate charger with two USB Type-C ports. It's powerful enough to charge one Steam Deck and use at the same time, or you could charge two different phones at the same time. And here Ugreen provided two USB-C to Lightning cables, perfect for charging your iPhones, or preferably a Steam Deck. 45 watts is enough to charge one Steam Deck, but if you need to charge multiple Steam Decks at the same time, there are higher capacity chargers made by Ugreen. These chargers are great for iPhone users given that new iPhones don't come with chargers anymore. These are also very much parent approved. My parents saw these, they wanted to try them out, I let them borrow it, and now it's basically theirs. And given its small form factor and small size, it's very portable too. If interested, there are links in the description down below. Now for the video. To get started, let's first talk about what I brought with me. The first thing I brought was this external battery by Aohi. It's the biggest battery I own, and I'm pretty sure this battery actually exceeds the TSA maximum for batteries. But that's okay though. Instead of taking an airplane to Florida, we're driving down to Florida. It'll be a 14 to 15 hour drive for my brother. Also inside this is the Steam Deck charger. You can't forget that, and a spare micro SD card. Next up are these IEMs right here. This is the Echo Asgard OH5. I actually made a video about the Asgards a while back, so if you want to check out that review, be sure to do so in the description down below. And you may be asking yourself, why wired instead of wireless? Well, it's simple really. The Steam Deck has a headphone jack, and for video games, wired audio gear will be way better than wireless. There's also a USB to USB-C cable in there, for charging of course. All of this goes in my Tomcat case. I do have more room to fit more of my goodies, but the fact of the matter is I don't really need it. I don't need a dock or a capture card. I'm not even bringing my laptop, so I'm not going to record any gameplay footage whatsoever. I mean, I'm not going to Disney World to play video games. I could have stayed home if I wanted to do that. I'm packing light for this vacation. A bag of clothes, my Steam Deck bag, I'm good to go. I'm not even bringing a laptop this time. But for recording family vacation videos, I am bringing my DJI Pocket 2. Maybe I'll do a dedicated video on that later.
Yo, they got a Buc-ee's here?
Common knowledge, especially on r/Steam Deck, dictates that if you want to travel with your Steam Deck, you'll want to enable offline mode. And I'm going to tell you right now, I totally forgot to do it. But you know what? I was able to play games just fine. Many games I play have no issues with being taken offline. And many games work even if you've never launched them while online before. Case in point being Spider-Man, Miles Morales. Fun fact, I don't even own the game. I'm actually family sharing it with a friend. Merely hours before I embarked on my trip, I downloaded Miles Morales, and I only started playing it while on the road. And for those asking, no, I didn't tether with my phone. You'd be surprised how many games on Steam don't have DRM. And yeah, some people may argue that Steam itself is a form of DRM. The fact of the matter is, I could play these games offline, with no real issue whatsoever. But that may not necessarily be the case for you. Of course, quite a few games on PC have DRM, especially some of the more high-profile games, like Octopath Traveler 2 and Like a Dragon Ishin. Both games feature Denuvo. I'm not going to bog you down with the details, but essentially, Denuvo is a semi-online DRM. For a legitimate copy of a game, your first launch has to be online. After the initial activation, you can play games offline for an unspecified amount of time, after which you must launch the game while online to re-authenticate yourself. Now you might be asking yourself, why an unspecified amount of time? Simply because there's no concrete answer, and of course Denuvo won't tell you. Sometimes you can be offline for a couple of days, other times you can be offline for up to 2 weeks. Unfortunately, I can't really find any real answers, but if someone has any conclusive evidence, be sure to comment down below. And if you liked this video and other videos, be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. How can you be sure a game you're playing doesn't have de novo? It's as easy as checking the game store page. Typically, a game will mention that it has de novo on the store page. And no, it doesn't affect a game's Steam Deck verification rating. So aside from de novo, you may encounter other games that have other forms of DRM that may pose issues. I don't have a list of games that use DRM as well as a list of DRMs in general, but there is one on PC Gaming Wiki. There's a great deal of information on each game you play. Not only does it tell you information on DRM, but it also tells you where your save files are, as well as issues with the PC port that you may encounter, as well as how to fix them. And would you look at that, I made another rant about DRM. And to be fair, DRM is the only real issue with offline play. But for games without third-party DRMs like de novo, you can just download the games and then take them on an airplane and play them. Or, you know, in my case, a car. The last time I made a video about offline mode, I mentioned one particular issue with offline mode, that being the Steam Deck not properly tracking game time when offline. Aside from games with DRM, this was the single biggest issue I had with offline mode gameplay, and it seems Valve just fixed it. As you can see here, my offline time with Miles Morales now properly syncs. Unfortunately though, it's not retroactive, meaning my offline time with Gunvolt 3 is lost. Did I encounter any issues while going offline for a couple of days? The answer is quite literally, no. I've had zero issues with my Steam Deck just being totally offline, not even in offline mode. Some may find this unusual given that common knowledge dictates that you would want to go into offline mode first before going to an offline area, at least according to every person on Reddit. But my experience was quite the contrary. I had downloaded every game I wanted to, and then when the download was finished, I put my Steam Deck in sleep mode, packed it up, and left. And no, you cannot put your Steam Deck in offline mode if you're not connected to Wi-Fi. Is it recommended that you put your Steam Deck in offline mode before you go on an airplane or some shit like that? Probably, you know, just to be safe. The last time I tested offline mode, it was pretty much smooth sailing, even with that one issue. There really isn't a whole lot that needed to change on Valve's end. The main issue, of course, comes from DRM as well as launchers. As far as I'm aware, both the Ubisoft launcher and the EA launchers have offline modes, but activating them can be kind of unintuitive, especially on a Steam Deck. And yes, while I would prefer these games to not need their own separate launchers, if companies do insist on keeping their own launchers, they should at the very least launch in offline mode if it detects that your Steam Deck is offline. Now to answer the final question, is the Steam Deck a worthy travel companion? Yes, with a bit of preparation that is. If you know how to tweak your power settings, and if you play a lot of titles that aren't that demanding, then you can get a lot of battery life. But if you don't know how to tweak your power settings, or maybe you don't want to, and you also play a lot of AAA titles, then you probably won't have great battery life. Be sure to pack an external battery. If you also plan on playing video games in public transport, and you want to hear game audio, bring some headphones. And if you're gone for any longer than a single day, bring your Steam Deck charger as well. These are all fairly simple things that you should do. Of course, the big issue is making sure your games are all updated and aren't in the middle of like downloading updates and whatnot. And to make sure games don't have some weird always online DRM, cause that'll mess you up, especially if you haven't downloaded any other games to play as well. Like any other gaming system that you take on the go, you will want some prep work. If you like high-tech lowlife, you should check out the rest of my channel. And if you like the rest of my channel, you should like, subscribe, and spread the good gospel of high-tech lowlife. Furthermore, we have a community Discord server. There's a link in the description down below. Check us out.